No safety nets left. Double elimination is over. And now one defeat means the end of your hopes at the European Open. Good morning from Fulda, home for the third straight year to this wonderful event. We're on day 3. Last year's runner-up Anton Raga went out. So did recent World Championship finalist Eklund Kaci. Just 2 of so many stories on the most eventful day of the tournament so far here in Germany. The main table action started with experienced Austrian Max Lechner against Lithuania's Pius Labutas, who's been in 2 semi-finals of big Matchroom events in the last year or so. This was on the loser's side, so Lechner was heading towards the exit at 5-2 down, but he rallied to force a final rack in which a Labutas safety error proved decisive, as it allowed Lechner in to clear for the match. Now, 2 of Britain's greatest ever players clashed. Next up, Jayson made plenty of mistakes early on, but Darren Appleton couldn't make it count, and despite being well off form, the Scot eased through, winning 9-3. Snooker star Gary Wilson has claimed some big scalps in the pool world in recent years. Shane Van Boening would be the biggest if Wilson could see him off. The American legend wasn't on peak form, but did enough to hold off his English opponent and win 9-7. Wilson, though, like Appleton, came through losers qualification later in the day and is in the final 64. And there you can see the matches that will be going on in the early stage of today. Albin Ocean there, 2-time world champion and past winner of this title, against Lin Ta Li. That one is on table 3. On the main table, it's going to be Jayson against Chang Lung. That's the one we'll be focusing on. You can see Ko Pin Yi there, former world champion, against Darren Appleton. And Johan Chu, a World Cup winner last year, facing Kledio Kaci, promising young Albanian. Mohamed Soufi, World Championship runner-up last year, also in action early in the day against Cliff Castelline. So Carl Boyes, a very experienced player himself, alongside me, and 2 experienced guys here. Carl, how do you see this one?
Yeah, I see it as a tight affair, and if the lag's anything to go by, I would be correct. Shaw versus Chang. Chang Lung not really set the world alight on the WNT just yet, but the former World Cup of Pool winner. He's won big events around the world, especially in Asia, and this break is not good at all from Shaw. He's signalling something. He's not happy about something. Let's have another look. See where he hits the 1 ball, see where the cue ball goes. No, it's okay, just hit the top jaw. I think sometimes when the balls come to rest a little bit like that in the middle of the table, if there's a cluster, I feel like it's not been the best split, but he just put the 1 ball on the top jaw, so marginally out, that was all.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how Shaw performs today, because he was poor really against Darren Appleton yesterday, and he looked exhausted for whatever reason. I don't know if he's not well, maybe he's not got that much sleep here. He does have the family with him, and there's all that to occupy him, but at times he was doing big yawns and his eyes looked very tired.
Well, I have a theory for that, Michael, and he's been travelling the world with his wife, Ara, and 2 kids. I mean, you've got children, I've got children. That is not an easy task, is it? He's been all over. He's been Dubai, then he's been to Thailand, and literally been on what seems like a 2-month vacation.
Life's a vacation for you professional pool players. I remember the golfer Graham McDowell, who won the US Open, saying years ago, before he even had kids, he said, I can barely even look after myself on the road. Can't imagine going to a tournament with a couple of kids in tow. But Jayson makes it work for himself, and he's got to do things his own way. But it'll be interesting to see if he looks a bit sharper today.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen Jayson's 2 kids around the venue, like me, Michael, and they're very well behaved. They've been brought up in this environment. Obviously, they have a pool room. Ara's mother and father have had the pool room for a few years, and I believe Jayson and Ara, when they're back home, they spend a lot of time in there, and the kids will be in there as well. So they're very much used to this environment. This is what Chang Yulong can bring to the table. Jayson will know that, of course. When we do the draw, the 32 undefeated players get drawn against the 32 players who have got a 1 loss next to their name. Jayson will have seen the draw and thought, okay, tricky opener.
Well, this is sending a message, isn't it? Off the dry break. Chang is showing Jayson Shaw, okay, if you make mistakes and give me chances, this is what I'm going to do with them. That dry break proved to be Jayson Shaw's only visit to the table in that opener. Chang very swiftly into a 1-0 lead. So it is single elimination now. We're up to race to 10 in this last 64. And it's basically 2 rounds a day now, because we'll have the last 32 later in the day, then last 16 and quarters tomorrow. And then for whoever wins it, and indeed the runner-up, it's a long day on Sunday because you've got 2 real high-pressure matches over long distances. Semi-final in the early part, that's race to 11, and then the final race to 13 on Sunday night. It's the 3rd European Open, as I was saying at the top of the show there, and we've had 2 very close finals in the previous stagings. Two of the big contenders for the title already gone, as I say, Anton Raga and Eklund Kachi, particularly surprising given that he was 1 rack away from being world champion earlier in the summer. He's been in another ranking event final since then. Joshua Filler, that heavy defeat to Mustafa Alnar, sending him over to the loser's side, and Kostas Koukiadakis, even 1 or 2 things to think about, but Filler came through. He is in the final 64. His quest to win a big title in his home country is continuing this morning against Jonas Suto. And of course, we'll keep you up to date on that and all the other matches going on. So Shaw didn't make the 1 in the side in the opening rack. Chang has in rack 2. Got another 1 in the side as well. And he's got a shot in the blue too, Carl. Nice start.
Yeah, this will work out well. Cue ball gets kicked quite a bit off the break, but in the end, as the ball stopped, he's got a shot on the blue too, as you said, Michael. He's just got to control his cue ball here, because from the red 3 ball, he's got to get back down for the purple 5. If the purple 5 goes past the brown 7 in this pocket, obviously it means it goes in both pockets then, so that's going to help Chang a little bit more. That's not bad on the red ball. Here he is having a look, so it's obviously tight. If it does go past the brown 7, he's got a nice angle to go off the top rail and back down the left side of the table. Bit of a natural angle shot. If not, he's got to load it up with spin, yeah, so it mustn't go past. So he's had to juice the cue ball up, and I'll tell you what, he's played a couple of nice shots here in rack 2, and that just gives you that feel in the back arm straight away. If he can run the table here, obviously in winner breaks, it keeps Shaw froze in the chair. Jayson will feel like he's not played pool yet this morning. Look how quick the table's playing. Wow. This will be a little stretchy. Not the tallest of fellas, so extension on the butt end of the cue. When you're drawing the ball, with the extension on, sometimes you can make a bit of a mess of it.
I always feel if you're going in a second favourite against Jayson Shaw, which I think in fairness Chang Yu-Long probably is, a good start is so important, because if Shaw gets a bit of rhythm going, we know what he can be like. And a lot of racks get a bit of rhythm going and disappear out of sight. With that in mind, this is an ideal start for Chang Yu-Long. He can't play better than this.
Yeah, he has that unusual cue action where he stands off the cue. You'll get a perfect look at that here, actually. Look how high his chin away from the cue, but boy, he's a smooth operator.
So he cleaned up off the dry break in the opening rack. Done the same off his own break in rack 2. Fine start for Chang Yu-Long. He leads 2-0. 42 years of age. As you said earlier on, he's a former World Cup of Pool winner for Chinese Taipei, along with Ko Pin-Yi. He won the China Open on a couple of occasions. Very big event with a strong field, a lot of prestige attached to it. He's been around doing well in big international events for around about 15 years now. Been a semi-finalist at the US Open. He's reached the equivalent stage of the World Championship. And since the start of the world ranking system and the World 9-Ball Tour over the last couple of years, he has been in a ranking final. It was against Moritz Neuhausen in Connecticut, where Jayson Shaw's based last year. The young German did beat him. The young American Sam Henderson has won the first rack against Mickey Kraus. Mohamed Soufi's taken the first off Cliff Castelline. Albin Ocean, former winner of this title, 1-0 up on Lin Tao Li. Darren Appleton's won the first against Ko Pin-Yi. Adam Stankovic 1-0 up on Mark Bijsterbosch. Eddie Okachi 1-0 up on Johan Chua. Joshua Filler leading Honus Suto 1-0. If you want to watch that, it's being streamed at the moment on the Matchroom Pool TikTok. You can head over there and perhaps keep an eye on that as well. Alexander Kazakis 1-0 up on Li Jimin. And Mustafa Elnar, who had that fine win over Filler yesterday, has won the first against Dimitris Loukatos. The only player who's managed to get 2 on the board already is Chang Yu-Long.
Finding the sweet spot as well. Everything's going nice at the moment, isn't it? Made the 1 ball on the break. No shot on the blue 2. Doesn't bank, so I do believe Jayson will get back out of his chair. Well, I say it doesn't bank. Maybe it does bank. Second look. He might better play it super hard and squeeze it in. Safeties look very easy though here. He can run the cue ball up or down table here. Plenty of balls to hide behind as well. Plenty of time for Shaw still, though it's not panic stations just yet. Could squeeze the bank in. See how he played it a little bit firmer. That just tightens that angle up.
We're talking about him being on vacation for the last couple of months. I think he could have gone on another holiday in the time since he's last been to the table. Dominant start from the 42-year-old Chang Yu-Long.
Positional shot's gone a little bit wrong here. He's going to have to pot a good ball. He's queuing over the 8 ball as well. We know how much difficult that makes life when trying to pot a ball. He's in tune. He's woke up out the right side of bed.
He had a very different day to Shaw yesterday. Shaw only played 12 racks, just had that one match in winners qualification, but Chang had to play 3 matches yesterday on the loser's side, having been sent there by Daniel Guttenberger in round 2. And then beat Luka Galic of Croatia. Fine win over Moritz Neuhausen, who beat him in that final in America last year. And then comfortably got past Francesco Candela, the Italian World Cup player, in losers qualification.
Michael, would I be right in saying all 3 Cole brothers are playing this morning at the same time?
They're all still in it anyway.
Yeah, I know they're still in it, but I do think I can see Cole Pinhan, and I know the other 2 Coles are playing. Wow, what a stat that is.
Yeah. You're absolutely right, they are all playing. Jayson Shaw technically is playing this morning, but he doesn't feel like it at the moment because all he's done so far is have a dry break. This is about as well as you can start a match. 3-0 already to Chang Yulong. Mickey Kraus has drawn level with Sam Henderson at 1-all. Alban Ocean has added another one to his tally, so now leads Lin Ta Lee 2-0. 1-all between Ko Pin Yi and Darren Appleton. Adam Stankovic has raced into a 2-0 lead over Mark Beisterbosch. Yuma Dorner of Germany winning the first against Emil-Andre Gangflo. Wojciech Szewczyk doing the same against Jan Juski. Labanot Markaj, one of 2 players representing Kosovo in the final 64, winning the first against Nick Vandenberg. It's 1-all now between Jonas Suto and Joshua Filler. Alexander Kazakis has won the first against Lee Ji-min, and Mustafa Alnar has added the second rack to go 2-0 up on Dimitris Lukatos. And as for those Ko brothers, well, Ko Ping Han is still in the first against Lu Hai Chan. Ko Ping Chung, who'll be defending his US Open title in about 10 days' time, won the first rack against Daniel Guttenberger. And Ko Pin Yi also in action. He, of course, was the partner, Chang Yulong, in that World Cup win. And he's level at 1-all with Darren Appleton. Flying start for Chang, 3-0 already.
Just maybe Jayson will see at the table in this rack. Doesn't look like he's got an option here other than saved it on the blue 2. This is just the way it can work. This is why being a pool player is not just all about running racks, it's about the mental side of the sport as well. You've got to be patient at times. Sometimes you just blow your opponents away and win easy matches. Sometimes you've got to sit there and grind to win out, and that's where Jayson's at the minute. He's a race to 10 now as well, so he's got plenty of time. We've seen a perfect example of that in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, didn't we, at the World Pool Championships recently? Fedor Gorst, who won the title, how many matches did he have to just grind out?
7-0 down in one of his matches early on. Really, that was the story of the championship for Fedor Gorst. There was hardly anything that was comfortable. Okay, so Jayson Shaw finally gets back to the table, already 3-0 down. And he's got a start.
Yeah, I bet he didn't expect this start. I think he thought he was going to be locked up behind the 8-ball.
Oh, wow. Dear.
Tell you what, them middles are very nasty. Let's have a look where this goes. Yeah, it just goes a hair wide, doesn't it? Not much, though.
Yeah, it's an unexpected miss, but absolutely, those side pockets can make you look a bit foolish because they're much tougher than they might look.
Yeah, and the idea with 9-ball is you want to be shooting in the corners more often than not, but clearly we didn't have that option.
The evidence of what we've seen so far, he could be back in that chair for a while again.
Seeing it again here at the European Open, the table that Joshua Fulda is on, I think he's playing on a Suto.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people around that table. It's actually a really good place to be because you can see all TV table, table one, you know, it's a really good spot to stand.
I always think it's a bit like the early rounds of a Grand Slam tennis tournament where you can walk around the outside courts or outside tables as it is here and see different players. The difference here, of course, is you can actually watch a number of them at the same time. And nowadays, when everyone's got their phones with the scoring apps and everything on them, you can watch one match and maybe see an interesting story is developing a few tables away, so they pop over there for a while. It often looks, actually, when we're showing the main table, as though there isn't a big crowd here, but very often it's just because they're spread out around the various stories going on around the place. There's a big story potentially developing here. Chang Yulong is playing basically flawless pool, and in a couple of balls' time, he could already be almost halfway to victory.
Yeah, Jayson's no stranger to comebacks here in Fulda. He was 8-3 down. I can't remember if his first or second game, but he was definitely 8-3 down.
He was in his second match against Chan. Needed to win 6 in a row, and he did. So he's been in a worse position than this already this week. That said, with all due respect to Chan, you can't imagine he was playing much better than Chang Yulong is. This is absolutely wonderful stuff. No wonder he's keen to get on with the next rack. He's raced through all 4 so far. Speaking of Chan, he's now lost the opener to Ko Ping Han. Mark Bijsterbosch has got one back against Adam Stankovic, 2-1 in that. Ko Ping now 2-1 in front of Darren Appleton. Oliver Szolnocki, former World Championship semi-finalist from Hungary, has taken the first against Canada's John Morra. Wojciech Szewczyk, who did so well in Saudi Arabia, won both of the first 2 against Jani Uski. Kledio Kachi, now flying the Kachi family flag after the departure of his much more experienced older brother. He's taken the first against Johan Chua. 2-0 there for Mohamed Soufi against Cliff Castelline. Mustafa Alnar having a wonderful summer. Beat Fedor Gorst at the World Championship, beat Joshua Fulda here, and already leading 3-0 against Dimitris Lukatos. That's an interesting one there. Sam Henderson, Mickey Kraus, 2 of the big youngsters in the game at the moment, and it's the American Henderson leading by 2 racks to 1. But nobody's made a better start than Chang. It's 4-0.
Shaw needs help, and that is just what the doctor ordered. Scratch on the break, ball in hand. What's the split of the balls like? Let's have a quick scan around. Nothing's really covering anything. 3 ball obviously doesn't go past that 9 and the purple 5, so that's going to be the key shot to this rack. Got to get from the blue 2. And if you look where the blue 2 is, playing it into that middle, well, that might not be the order of the day. Might have to play it in the corner of the blue 2. Let's see what he does. Yep, not for Jayson playing this in the middle. You can see where he's put the cue ball. He's going to slide it down the long rail, will float past the 3. Shoot the 3 ball into this bottom right corner. Playing for it in the middle, or the top, needs to slow down the cue ball. You often see the pros doing that, what Jayson just did, because it's giving you options. He will grind away. Chang Yulong is not even halfway there yet. That's the best way to think of it. I always used to tell myself in a match like this, if you've not had much table time and your opponent's gone on a bit of a mad one, I used to think, okay, let's set a little target. I'll settle for 8 all the way this match has gone, so that's more than achievable. Jayson can beat anybody 8-4.
It's interesting you say that, because top sports people and psychologists always say everything is about taking it one shot at a time, in this instance one rack at a time, and just staying in the moment and all that. So it's interesting to hear that You seem to have looked at it a different way, and obviously it worked for you.
Yeah, I used to be try to be realistic. I know that old cliche of one shot at a time, but I know how fickle 9-ball can be. We're seeing it, aren't we? Chang's had opportunities. He's obviously playing well. His cue ball's been on a string, but I used to just think, right, okay, let's fight for, yeah, it could be 7 or 8 or whatever, but just felt like, right, I'm in a battle here. But some people, like you said, they might just say, right, okay, just whatever. I'd like to know if anyone can forget about the score. Do you think that's possible? Or do you think everybody's got that, in the mind somewhere?
I think what I've seen in some sports over the years, when you're starting a big comeback, it's very hard to put the score out of your mind. And then some people get so much into a zone, get on the roll that they need to get on to turn it around, that they do just end up playing instinctively and can forget about the score. I've definitely seen instances of that in various sports where you can see people are just managing to stay in the moment that, as you say, is such a cliche, but is so incredibly hard to do. Now, that was important for Shaw, wasn't it? Because all he had done so far in the match was break dry and then have an unexpected miss into a side pocket. That was his first chance to really get properly stuck in. He needed to show Chang that he's playing well also, and he took full advantage of it. So Shaw has, somewhat belatedly you might say, got his first on the board. Still a fine start for Chang. It's 4-1. Joshua Filler now leading Hona Suto 2-1. As I said, you can keep an eye on that on the Matchroom Pool TikTok. Mustafa Alnar leading 3-0 against Dimitris Lukatos. Alnar certainly one to watch. He's had a couple of big eyebrow-raising results in recent months. Lin Ta Lee has won the third rack to get off the mark against the former European Open champion, Albin Ocean. 2-1 now to Ocean. Mickey Kraus has levelled at 2-all with Sam Henderson. And Mohamed Soufi did well at the World Championship again. Not quite as well as last year when he got to the final, but showed some good form in Jeddah, and he's showing some again today. Leads Cliff Castelline 3-0. Shaw breaking, 4-1 down.
That looked a little weak, didn't it? There was no real power or venom. But he's potted a ball. That's the other thing with this break format, the way this break lends itself to it. We see a lot of consistencies with this break. What I mean by that is the old break. When you put the one ball on the spot, if you play pool yourself, you know what I'm talking about. When the one is on the spot, the wing ball just flies straight in the pocket. So you're literally just ball watching. It's very easy for top pros to just park the cue ball in the center of the table and then literally do I land on the lowest ball or not? It was very easy back in the day, as where now, good pot there while I'm rabbling on from Jayson. As where now Jayson will know, even though you're down in a match, Chang, you're long, he's still not guaranteed to be landing on the balls or putting the one in the side. There's a lot more play going on now. Oh, it's the 2-ball, and it's the 2-ball into the side pocket where he's already missed the ball. Yeah, I mean, you can't be hitting the jaw that steep, can you? We know you can graze the jaw and it fall in, but that hit quite far down. And when you're trying to get a comeback and you do get these chances, the harsh reality is you need to be taking them.
This is the third of the big field Matchroom events on the calendar in 2024. Chang Yulong has made it to single elimination in all 3 of them so far. Didn't get any further than this stage in the UK Open, but did make the last 32 of the World Championship. He was also in the semi-finals of the first ranking event of the year in his home country.
There's no better feeling as a pool player when everything's just working out nice. You play a positional shot and the cue ball comes to rest and it's just that perfect angle. You're getting all the chances, the break's working nice. Doesn't mean it's going to stay that way as he comes up just a little short. May end up leaving himself a longer 9 than he would have liked. Yeah, he has done. Look at this. Okay. Biggest pot. Biggest moment of this match so far. He's coming right up. Can Chang knock this 9 in to punish the Shaw mistake? He cannot, and that is what happens when you lose the cue ball. When your cue ball's a little loose, you're chasing the finish, you're chasing the position.
Yeah, really just would have rubbed it in for sure if Chang, having left himself the testing 9, had made that as well to get to 5-1. But all of a sudden, Shaw has halved the deficit that he had at 4-0 down.
And that is why the WNT have made the pockets that little bit smaller. I know there's amateur pool players around the world. I've seen the comments over the last couple of years where they're saying, oh, it's ruined 9 ball a bit. It's not as attacking as it once was. But Chang would have smashed that ball in on a 4.5-inch pocket easy. So he would have got away with his positional mistake on the 8. This is made for better matches, more competitive matches this now.
Yeah, and I think for anyone watching, previous times they would have seen Chang play that 9 and assumed he was just going to make it anyway. It brings a bit more jeopardy, a bit of uncertainty into it. Now it's turned around, and Shaw did make a big error in that frame, in that rack. And got away with it, so the whole dynamic psychologically has changed a bit. It's happened quite quickly. 4-2 now to Chang. Mohamed Soufi's added another one. 4-0 now against Cliff Castelline. 2 in a row for Lin Ta Lee. Level at 2-all with Albin Ocean. Same score between Ko Pin Yi and Darren Appleton.
Just isn't getting the 1 ball. I mean, he's breaking consistent because he keeps catching the top jaw, doesn't he? But it's not quite there yet.
Yeah, 0 from 3 in terms of trying to make the 1 off the break.
Tricky rack though, isn't it? Because when Julian, our referee, puts the 7 ball back, it's tied on top of the 9. No, that's a little bit later on in the rack. And also he's got to judge the cue ball here. He's got to try and thread the needle in between the 8 and the green 6 and try and get position on that blue 2 as well. Been a lucky boy there. Flicked that green 6 and landed plumb into the corner. Still got the issue with the brown 7 though. Just wondering if it does put in the right centre, the brown 7. No, I don't think it does. Will he get cheeky? Exhibition mode. You pop the 4, come off the side rail and just come skim across the top face of the brown 7. You stay on the 5 ball. You look like a genius. Is he going to have a go at that? No, he's not.
Seem to say this at pretty much every big event, but it's really true this week so far. Been a great tournament for the Chinese Taipei contingent. 10 of them in the draw when we started, and 8 are still in it.
He's decided to go into the 9 off one rail. As long as you don't hit it full, you should have a shot on the brown 7. As long as you don't miss it. Oh, this has worked out like a dream come true. Look at this. Absolutely perfect.
Just a wonderful feeling, isn't it, when you've got a little challenge to come through and then you play the shot and you've got 3 balls left on the table and they're sitting absolutely perfect. Real feeling of satisfaction. And that gets achieved. And so, it looks as though Shaw's attempt at a comeback going to be stopped in its tracks for now. Ooh, well, it's okay. He's had a bit of fortune there, as he's acknowledged. But the end result is going to be what matters. And now, Chang Yulong is halfway to victory. He leads 5-2 against the Hanoi Open champion. Joshua Filler had that defeat yesterday, bounced back from it, got through to single elimination, and so far he's making the most of his reprieve. He leads Honus Suto, who's been a ranking event winner this year, by 4 racks to 1. 4-0 for Alexander Kazakis over Li Jimin, and Mustafa Alnar is leading by that score against Dimitris Lukatos. Labanot Markaj, one of the 2 Kosovo players still in it, 2-1 up on the veteran Dutchman, Nick Vandenberg. Filler's just gone 5-1, by the way. 1-1 between Johan Chua and Claudio Cacci. That's over on table 1. You can watch it on Matchroom Pool's YouTube channel. Ko Ping Han looking to step out of the shadows of his older brothers. 2-1 up on Lu Hai Chan. Wojciech Szewczyk of Poland has a 3-1 lead over Janiuski. Adam Stankovic just ahead of Mark Beisterbosch at 3-2. US Open champion Ko Ping Chung level with Daniel Guttenberger. That's 2-2. Lin Ta Li, having been 2-0 down to Alban Ocean, has won 3 in a row since then. So he leads 3-2, and so does the young American Sam Henderson against the informed Dane Mickey Kraus. Great start for Chang. Back breaking with a 5-2 lead.
You can see the difference. Shaw's catching the top jaw on the break. Chang's finding the 1. It is not much of a marginal error, is it, to be fair? It seems quite cruel, but just fractions, that's all it is.
May have noticed just over Chang Yulong's shoulder there, we saw Mohamed Soufi, who's 4-1 up in his match against Cliff Castelline. And funny, sitting just beyond him is Tony Drago, a player who we were likening Soufi to when we really saw him on the world stage for the first time in Kielce last year. When he got to the final of the World Championship, we're certainly feeling that Soufi's style very reminiscent of Drago's. since we've seen him start to play in these World 9-Ball Tour events, as you were saying, Carl, he's not done a great deal over the last year or two. When we have seen him at events, he's not been going deep in them. On the basis of this, it's hard to understand why. So over the years, have you noticed anything in Chang's game that you think might hold him back a bit?
No, maybe just a hair inconsistent. I mean, the other thing to take into account is he's always travelling a long way, isn't he, Michael? Do you know what I mean? Coming over to America or Europe a lot, playing in these events. Maybe that takes its toll as well.
Yeah, you look at the Coe brothers, who obviously are from the same country and have that great success. But of course, they're always travelling together, and that's got to help in those situations. But yeah, it is a factor.
I'm sure we can all agree. And we all know anyway. Listen, we've watched enough of Chang Long to know that he's a fantastic player.
Yeah, and he has had big-time success on the international stage, winning that World Cup of Pool back in 2015, along with Ko Pin-Yi. An event in which Chinese Taipei so often seem to get to the later stages, very consistent at doing that. He had to travel a long way for that. It was in London. The only player who's having to make a long journey in this match now is Jayson Shaw, because it is a long way back from 6-2 down. He's been in a worse position in this tournament already, though, as we said, and come through. Has not been given much opportunity at the moment with the way Chang is playing. 6-2.
Yeah, he's got to look at the blue 2 again. All because he puts the 1 in the side. This time that 1 ball rattled its way in. Difficult positional shot here. Quite a steep angle, and let's just say if you pot the ball with no spin, just plain ball, probably comes across and maybe just sort of dig down towards the purple 5, maybe just above it. Well, completely butchered that one, didn't he? Nowhere near the pot.
We know Jayson Shaw is eminently capable of winning a match from 6-2 down, but looking at the situation he's been given here with ball in hand, one of those situations where you feel if the comeback is to happen, probably needs to start right here and now.
Yeah, and upon missing that ball, Chang's just flicked the 9 ball onto that side rail, and it's a bit of a little weird spot, that. You know yourself, Mike, how often do you see the 9 ball in that position on the pool table? So that, you know, Shaw's going to be faced with potting that ball, so he'd love to get over on the right-hand side quite close. I know you're probably thinking, well, it's easy up the rail, but it's still a bit of an unusual shot he'll be faced with. I can see Joshua Fulda in the midst of a big crowd. He's at the table. Shaw holds his hands up because if the cue ball didn't flick the 8, I think it was going to go in the pocket, you know. Not quite happening at the minute. Again, just flicks the 6 ball.
Yeah, never really started to happen yesterday against Darren Appleton, and we're saying, well, if he plays like that in subsequent matches, he's going to get found out, and really that's what's happening here, and he's right in his luck in this visit to the table.
Yeah, last 3 shots, the cue ball's glancing another ball, but to be all right. Now he's got issue with flies and all going on at the moment.
Okay, so now he's heading towards that 9 that you were talking about, Carl. So key in this rack could be where he leaves himself on it. You were saying wants to get nice and tight behind it, and well, this doesn't look too bad. What do you make of this?
Yeah, it's pretty good that he's done well. Just takes a little bit of heat off it.
The 9 is dispatched down the side rail. So a bit of a clumsy error from Chang Yulong. Not consistent at all with how he's been playing so far this morning. Jayson Shaw gets that one on the board, so he's back to 3 behind now. It's 6-3. Joshua Filler is also on 6, and he's got a really big lead over Honus Suto, 6-1. Alexander Kazakis 5-0 against Li Jimin. Mustafa Alnar 5-1 over Dimitris Lukatos. Labanot Markaj of Kosovo, 4-1 in front of the experienced Dutch player, Nick van den Berg. Johan Chua on table 1 has a 3-1 lead over the one remaining Kachi. That's the younger one, Kledio. The youngest of the Ko brothers, Ko Ping Han, has a 4-1 lead over Lu Hai Chan. Wojciech Szewczyk leads Janiuski by the same score. 2-2 between Emil Andre Gangflo and Uma Dorner. Gangflo, who beat Eklund Kachi yesterday. Daniel Guttenberger 3-2 up on Ko Ping Chung. Adam Stankovic taking control against Mark Boisterbosch. That's 4-2. Oliver Shonocki with a 3-0 lead over John Mora. Ko Ping-yi a couple clear of Darren Appleton. That's 4-2. A clash of world champions. Another world champion, Alban Ocean, has just won rack 6 to level with Lin Ta Li at 3 each. Mohamed Soufi going along very nicely, 5-1 against the Belgian Cliff Castelline. And it's 3-3 between Sam Henderson and Mickey Kraus. The winner of that will play the winner of this. Shaw breaking, 6-3 down. Still hasn't made the one in the side. And still hasn't.
Yeah, he's just hitting it too high. He'll know this better than anybody. He's just not breaking good enough at this level. You know, you look at Shane Van Bonen when he played Gary Wilson yesterday. It was a breaking masterclass. Yeah, you could see the names on the right of the screen then. Michael was calling out the scores. That's because the Junior Open, the Fillers Junior Open, that started today.
Yeah, again, that's a bit like the Grand Slam tennis events where the juniors get to play their own events. And really, other than that, it's hard to think of any other sport where the youngsters trying to come through get an opportunity like that. Be playing at the main venue and having their heroes a few tables away. If someone playing in one of those junior events, Carl, sought you out and said, what's the most important thing for me in terms of trying to go from being a promising teenager to a top player, what might be the #1 thing you'd tell them?
Well, I know the answer because it's something I didn't do. It's dedication. You've got to want to do it. You can't, you know, it can't be forced. It needs to be in you. It's not something that you can coach, but you've got to be dedicated. You've got to want to do it. You've got to love to play. You've got to do everything right. If you lazy on the table and you're ducking your practice sessions, somebody else will be doing it right, and you're just not going to get the one over them.
You're probably the wrong person to ask on the basis of what you've just said, but if someone is playing full-time and trying to make their way in the game, how much practice do you need to be doing? Say in a week where there isn't a tournament, you're at home, you're working on your game, getting ready to play in a big event. What are we looking at, 5-6 hours a day for the whole week?
I don't know about that. I think, you know, someone might say, oh, I play 5 hours a day, but someone might then say I play 2 hours a day, but that 2 hours could be like full-on intense, like a training camp style, and that could pretty much be enough. Depends what you're doing in your 5 hours. I think 5 hours may be a bit over the top, but I think if you're doing a good 2 or 3 hours really intense, you know, training camp, that'll be more than enough. And obviously I've seen that, you know, well, I've worked, I've done them, you know, I've been a part of the Mosconi Cups playing, and obviously with Alex Laley as captains, and seen what the players do. So if you're doing a proper, like, intense 2 to 3 hours, I think that's more than enough.
And what are you doing in it? Because I know, oh, hang on. Let's forget about that conversation for a moment and come back to this. It was looking like Shaw was getting a bit of rhythm going at last. And he just throws in one like that.
Look at this one. Yeah, he just catches the bottom jaw, like steep though as well. I really do love the way these diamond tables play, Michael. I just think the pocket, you just don't seem to get away with anything sloppy. And I think the fact that Jayson's been on vacation with the family, maybe his head's not been quite in the game, you know, on the table, putting the effort in, and I think it, to be honest, is showing up. You know, he didn't play very good against Darren Appleton, did he? And he's missed a couple of silly balls here in this one.
And instead of getting back to only a couple behind, Jayson Shaw has handed that rack to Chang Yulong, and now suddenly he might start to see the winning line just appear on the horizon. 7-3, Chang only needs 3 more. And if he gets them, he'll play either Sam Henderson or Mickey Kraus. It's Kraus leading now in that one at 4-3. Mohamed Soufi still looking very comfortable, 6-2 over Cliff Castelline. Alban Oceans won a couple in a row to lead Lin Ta Lee 4-3. Ko Pin Yi 4-2 up on Darren Appleton. Oliver Sholnocki 3-0 against John Mora. Adam Stankovic just ahead of Mark Beisterbosch at 4-3. Daniel Guttenberger giving himself the chance to claim a big scalp. He leads Ko Ping Chung 4-2. Emil-Andre Gangflo has already had a massive scalp this week, and he's now leading 3-2 over Yuma Dorner. Wojciech Szewczyk going well, 5-1 against the useful Finnish player Jani Uski. 4-1 for Ko Ping Han. He's having a really good week against Lu Hai Chan. Johan Chua also 4-1 in front against Claudio Cacci. Labanot Markaj 4-2 ahead of Nick Vandenberg. Joshua Filler going well, 6-2 against Hona Suto, and it's 5-0 for Alex Kazakis over Lee Ji-min. 5-1, 6-1 just as I say that now, from Mustafa Alnar against Dimitris Lukatos. Just looking at Oliver Sholnocki there, Carl, he's going well, but it's only 3-0. I mean, you look at this match, we've had 10 racks already, but that's Sholnocki's way, isn't it?
Yeah, we're probably the fastest match out there at the moment, I think, as well. But this is just, it's actually purely been down to the breaking. Pretty much, in fact, this has been the best breaking performance I've actually seen so far from Chang Yulong, because when you're not making the one ball, if you look at the previous rack where Shaw come up dry, the balls come out a little sticky, as opposed to this. I'm definitely seeing a familiar pattern this week more than ever. If you're potting the one in the side at a decent pace, it just seems to be that the balls seem to split a little easier. If you miss it, well, you've got more chance of clusters. Tough shot here, though. Needs to slow down, which it will do. Another tough positional shot needed.
Yeah, great percentage stats on the break so far for Chang. He's had 7 attempts. There was that 5th rack where he came up dry and scratched, but other than that, he's made the one in the side every time.
Needs a friendly bump here. Yeah, he's missed his line, hasn't he? It's not all doom and gloom, though. He can play thin off this ball, leave it on the rail, and then the 4 doesn't pass the 7 in a pocket, so that's got a bit of cover, and just run the cue ball down table behind these 3 balls. Actually really nice, this. Big favourite to hook Shaw here. You could see what he did instead. He used the 6 ball as cover, which is fine, that's up to him. It's all about making sure you get that cue ball behind the 3 balls. Shaw's got the jump cue in his hand. He's just getting the hit, isn't he? Still can't believe he missed that 7-ball, Michael, in the previous rack. I think he just got down quick, thinking it was easy, and he was back in the match.
We saw him miss so many unexpected balls against Darren Appleton yesterday. When you see a player of Shaw's quality do that, you sort of half assume that he'll get it sorted out and put a bit of work in on the practice table and will have eliminated that by the following day. But it hasn't been the case at all. And well, really, with that shot, the narrative of this match just continues as you were.
Extension called. 1 extension per rack. That gives you another 30 seconds. Yeah, he's put the cue ball there, so he'll come off the side rail, come down to the bottom right hand side of the table. So he can pop this purple in this corner.
You were talking about Jayson Shaw being on vacation around the world over the last couple of months. We know he's got various business interests. He's got so much going on in his life, and that's all fine. These are all his choices, so it's not a matter of criticising the way he goes about things at all. But do you think, even aside from that maybe not being the ideal preparation, that perhaps he's not as focused as you need to be if you want to be regularly winning these tournaments?
100% correct. He's definitely not quite at the races mentally, because he just wouldn't really make them errors. And it's his demeanour around the table. He actually looks a little bit too relaxed to me, a little bit, almost a little bit carefree. You've got to really be there sort of with it. And listen, I'm sure a lot of players have done this. I've done it numerous times. Sometimes you can go to tournaments, and after the match you can be walking off having lost, thinking, didn't even really try then. What a bizarre mindset that was.
But you look at the guys who have won lots of big tournaments in recent years. I'm thinking particularly of Albin Ocean and Shane Van Boning, the two players who contested the first final here in Fulda 2 years ago. And when they're at the table, indeed when they're around the venue, they seem to disappear into a world of their own. They couldn't be more focused. Now, Jayson Shaw isn't like that. He's got other things going on. He likes to be sociable around the venue and everything. That's fine, but you can't be both, can you? You can't be the guy who's doing other things and a regular tournament winner, which he could potentially be given his talent.
Yeah, and I actually think when Jason's really zoned in, you know, and like really on it, I think that actually does suit his game. I think that's when he's performed his best.
Well, it's not happening for him at the moment. Of course, as we've said, he had a big comeback in one of his matches earlier in the week. But with big comebacks, they very rarely happen when one player is playing really well and the other one is struggling. Sometimes you're not really firing, but the other guy isn't at his best, so that gives you the chance to turn it round, and it's not the case today. So it's not gone for sure by any means, but it doesn't feel like the sort of match that's going to turn around. We will see. Mohamed Soufi was racing away early on against Cliff Castelline. The Belgian is coming back a bit, but still comfortable for Soufi at 6-3. Albin Ocean, who we mentioned there, 5-3 against Lin Ta Lee. Darren Appleton putting up a good show against Ko Pin Yi. He's only one behind at 4-3. Daniel Guttenberger now 5-2 over Ko Ping Chung. Wojciech Szewczyk cruising against Janioski at 6-1. And Joshua Filler leads Honus Suto 7-2. Another player on 7 is Mustafa Alnar. He's having a great week here. 7-1 up on Dimitris Lukatos. But only one player has reached 8, and that's Chang Yulong.
I don't want to say I told you so, Michael, but what have I just been speaking about the break? He's missed the one ball. He's hit the top jaw, a little bit like what Jayson has been doing. And look, it's a little bit messy. It's a little bit awkward. Well, what about this? In some ways, can you really blame him? Obviously the safety is horrible. There's a lot of balls on the table, so if you miss it, things can happen. Has he fluked the one? No, he's not. And he's going to leave a shot. Just not happened, has it? It's not happening. How crucial of a miss on the brown 7. Was it to make it 7-4 if Shaw had won that rack when he missed the brown 7? 6-4, I mean.
Yeah, and you look at that shot there, and it might be easy to say it's reckless, but you said, and I think rightly so, who can blame him? Because when it's going like this, you've got to try to make something happen, and you're trying to come back from a big deficit. But then, it helps when your opponent does something like that. What a let-off.
Yeah, he's tried to pinch a bit of the pocket with the spin. He didn't need to, actually. He didn't need to play the 2 in the side pocket. A little bit of a mental error there. He could have left a long 2 and played the 2 into the top left. Oh, well, never mind. Jayson won't care. He's been 8-3 down before this week and come back.
Yeah, that was in a race to 9, so there's a bit more breathing room when it's 10 the target. 8-3 down in a race to 9. You're making that comeback with your opponent on the hill throughout the entirety of the turnaround. Just wonder, in about maybe 45 minutes to an hour from now, if we're going to be talking about that one ball.
Nearly missed his 4 ball then, he stayed down. You don't keep getting the chances to come back though. I feel like this is his last chance. I feel like if he gets opportunities on the break now, he has to take them. He has to make them count now. Last chance saloon for sure.
Even with the mistakes we've seen so far in this match, I think we can pretty much mark this one down. So he will get the break back, but he's not been making use of that so far in the match. Come up dry 3 times out of 4, and even the time he did pot something off the break, it wasn't the one. So Jayson Shaw clinging on, looking for his second big turnaround of the week. Chang Yulong missed an absolute sitter. Shaw made him pay. It's 8-4. 4-all now between Ko Pin-Yi and Darren Appleton. And Yorkshireman approaching 50 years of age now and struggled on the main table yesterday against Shaw, got through on the loser's side and performing well today against one of the best players in the world. Emile-Andre Gangflo now 4-2 against Yuma Dorner. Johan Chua 5-1 over Claudio Cacci. And it's 7-3 now for Joshua Filler against Hona Suto. Yeah, there you can see the crowd that's gathered round Joshua Filler table. You can just make out the distinctive style of the former World and US Open champion. In the midst of all that,
yeah, that's pretty much the view I've actually got right now. I'm stood up. It's pretty much like I'm filming it on my phone for you. I can see the table. That's exactly the view I've got. I know you like to keep sitting down, you and Phil, don't you, Michael?
well, we're a bit older than you, Carl.
Yeah, it's an age thing, I know that.
Me, not by much, though. We're in the same decade now, don't forget.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I just think, well, sitting down all day, it's not really for me. That's why I like to stand up a lot. I'll tell you what I'd like to do one day. You know, I know you follow the golf. You know, like what Wayne Riley does, where he walks around the course, on course comms. I think that's brilliant.
Thing is, you got to really know what you're talking about for that.
8.2 handicap, sir. Thank you very much. It's not too shabby.
Yeah, but
But
Wayne Riley won around Carnoustie. It's a bit better than an 8 handicap. Although 8 handicap, I am impressed.
It's going to be a safety shot. Split the balls either side of the table. Using them 3 balls in the middle for the hook. Well, where's the 2 ball ended up here? Don't tell me it's wired into the top pocket. Here he comes to look. He hits it full. Does the 9 go in the corner? It's going to go close. He'll have a go. There you go, look at that, Michael. If he hits it full, he has a chance. 2-rail kick. And if he does get this, it's looking likely Shaw's campaign will soon be over.
Could pull out one for the highlights reel here to get to the hill.
He's going to get lucky with the leave. No, he's going to leave this. I can see Joshy Fulda sprinting around the table. Seems to be playing a little bit better today than yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, even in the match he played on the loser's side to get through, wasn't at his best. We've seen him in the past where he's been unexpectedly sent to the loser's side and then just cruises through in top form, but that wasn't really the case. Still, of course, even at this point, we talk so much about getting through to single elimination. You've still got another 6 matches to win, so if you are playing well at this point, you've got to keep that form for a very long time. There's a lot to be said for a well-timed run into your best stuff.
Wow. That was very close to the scratch. Sure, I'll have a go at the pot here. This is difficult, difficulty level. He's right up there on this one. But you just put everything into the pot, because if you knock it in, the cue ball will just hopefully float. Yeah, looking at it, he's worried about the 8 ball. He's worried about hooking himself if he pots this. I thought first maybe if he pots it, he might just glance into the 8, but I don't think he's gonna. Oh, wow. Is he jacking up and stunning the 3 round? Yeah, he is, yeah. Don't blame him. He made it? You could see why he chose that shot selection. Fulda did win that rack.
Yeah, 8-3 now, and the man who beat him yesterday is also an 8. Mustafa Alnar over Dimitris Lukatos. They and Chang are the closest to the winning line at this point. Well, fine pot, but not going to get him anywhere. In fact, he's leaving a good chance now for sure.
Yeah, you can sweat the end of the Fulda Suto match. It's on Matchroom Pool TikTok channel. Go and have a nose it.
You on TikTok, Carl? I know you're into all that modern stuff.
No, I think there's an account been set up years ago, but there's too much to choose from. It all gets a bit silly in my opinion. I like my Instagram. Go over and give us a follow over there. Usually just upload a lot of pictures of the venue and things like that.
I'm still getting to grips with texting.
Yeah, I can believe that.
It is amazing, though, isn't it? You know, when you consider, certainly when I was growing up, and probably for you to some extent, there were certain sporting events that you might want to know what was going on, but you couldn't watch them anywhere. Now, anything of any consequence at all, you can watch it somewhere.
Yeah, social media, it's a fickle place, isn't it? If you let it get to you as well. Just seems to be a part of the world now, isn't it? Everyone's got it. Everyone's doing the bit on that.
Okay, so the scratch in the corner pocket looks like proving decisive here. Jayson Shaw, I think now we can say, is officially on the comeback trail. He was 7-3 down. 8-5 looks a good deal better. He's in the contest. And they're battling to play the winner of the match between Sam Henderson and Mickey Kraus. That one's been a very different affair. Close all the way so far, and it's still got a long way to run at 4-all. Cliff Castelline is battling back well against Mohamed Soufi. That's 6-4. Lin Ta Li's got one back against Albin Ocean. That's 5-4 in favour of the Austrian. Ko Pin-Yi is edged ahead of Darren Appleton at 5-4. And speaking of Ko Pin-Yi, he may very well be featuring in this brand new event. Starting on the 17th of October, just a few days after the Hanoi Open, the action will stay in that corner of the world. It's the inaugural Reyes Cup in Manila. Europe versus Asia. Same format as the Mosconi Cup. We've had that for about 30 years. This is brand new. That's really going to be something special to look at. People of Manila just crazy about the game of pool, a lot of which is down to the man you see in picture there, Efren Reyes. How do you think it's going to go in the end, Carl? Europe against Asia, we talk about the massive depth that Asia have, but ultimately it's only going to be the best 5 players from each continent, and we know how good the top 5 Europeans will be. They've got all the Mosconi experience. Who would you favour?
I would favour Europe, but obviously right now we just don't know the teams, do we? So as of this moment, I'll definitely pick Europe, but as I just said, I'd like to see when the teams are made and make a call there. But you kind of get the feeling of what Team Europe may well be, don't you? It's more the Asian team. We don't really know what the likelihood of is. And at the end of the day, if it's, well, we know Catcher's there, don't we? So you've got Catcher, you would expect Filler, you would expect Shaw. I mean, we don't even know the captains at the moment, Michael, so it's all a bit in the dark at the moment. But it's going to be you know, pretty much a Mosconi Cup team, isn't it? Regardless, you would think. So they're the ones who are used to playing in that sort of environment, and they know how to win that format of a match. They just know how to get the job done. They've played plenty of Scotch doubles together, so definitely favourites in my eyes.
That's the thing, isn't it? We talk about the number of really good European players there are who could lend something to the Mosconi Cup or the Reyes Cup, as we say as well. Problem for them is it's just so hard to dislodge the established guys that they can't even get the opportunity to get in there and show what they can do. And if these players are going to keep getting the results, keep getting in the Mosconi team and keep winning those matches, then it's going to stay that way for some time.
Taking a lot of time here, because it's very difficult, that's why. I wonder if he can double bank it across, get it on the top rail, get the cue ball back down here. Can he go forward? Yeah, he's gone forward. Oh, that was a brave attempt. I don't know if he did go for the 9. I'm not sure, but if he did, well, he was a brave boy.
You can just see from some of his shot selections, he's really trying to find that turning point, that moment that's really going to spark it. As I said, he has made a bit of a comeback in this match, but he needs to do an awful lot more, and in a few moments' time, he may find himself needing to win 5 in a row, because this is a good chance for Chang to be first to the hill.
Well, the thing is, Michael, you know, we talk about the missed pots and things like that, but that previous shot there from Jayson was a howler. You know, you've got to mark that down as a poor shot or a poor shot selection. That's just as bad as, you know, missing an easy ball.
A sense of being too brave, is that the way it is?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if he's tried to pot the 9 from there, that is so low percentage. So we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he was playing safe, which obviously he didn't hit it how he wants, so.
Oh, hang about. It's not ideal.
No, it's not ideal. Now, the thin cut here is super thin. I'm wondering where the 9 ball is. If it's quite a big pocket, he may bank it. You can actually bank it and hit the top rail first near the pocket, and then the 5 will go off the 9 and still pot. However, I mean, this rack should be over, but he's lost his cue ball. A couple of times he's lost his cue ball. He'll feel like this is match rack and all. 9-5, race to 10, huge scoreline. Nice shot. I say nice shot, I was looking at the 5. He can't be forcing these. He may have to leave himself a little long on the 7.
Missed a ball much easier than this into the same pocket a couple of racks ago. Well, it's a bit of a tester, as you say, Carl. But if this shot works out, got 1 foot in the last 32.
Well, it's not quite over the pocket, the 9 ball, so he does need to hit this right. I think he's sending the cue ball into it and putting the 7 on the right rail as insurance. Yes, he is.
Job done. So Chang Yu-long is indeed first to the hill. Not playing quite as well as he was in that explosive start to the match, but it's still been an accomplished performance overall. The 7-9 carom, or billiard, or whatever way you want to phrase it. He takes himself to the hill. Well, Jayson Shaw needed to win 6 racks in a row earlier on in the week and managed to do it. He's got to win 5 on the spin now. Mustafa Alnar of Turkey is also on the hill, 9-2 against Dimitris Lukatos. Joshua Filler closing in on victory as well, 8-4 he leads Hona Suto. You can see the end of that on Matchroom Pool TikTok. Alexander Kazakis with a big lead over Lee Ji-min at 7-1. Wojciech Szewczyk has the same margin against Jani Uski. Daniel Guttenberger is going well. Guttenberger actually sent Chang Yu-long to the 1-loss side earlier in the week, and he could send Ko Ping Chung out of the tournament altogether. Guttenberger halfway to victory with a 5-3 lead. Mark Bijsterbosch edging ahead of Adam Stankovic now at 6-5. It's gone 5-all in the clash of the world champions, Ko Ping and Darren Appleton. Cliff Castelline is really impressing here this week, and he's doing so again on table 2 right now, because he's got back to only a single rack behind against last year's World Championship runner-up Mohamed Soufi. It's 6-5 there, and it's 5-all between the promising American Sam Henderson and Mickey Kraus, the man who dumped the defending champion Francisco Sanchez Ruiz out of the World Championship a couple of months ago in Jeddah. Is Jayson Shaw going to get dumped out of the European Open? Chang Yu-long needs 1 more to do just that.
Another good break as the 1 ball's disappeared. He's got a chance to knock Shaw out and advance through to the final 32. Is this the week Chang Yu-long stamps his authority on the WNT Tour? Jayson knows the writing could well be on the wall. He will have seen the split. He will know he's got a shot on the 2.
Yeah, and of course that was Chang's last break of the match, so his final stats are 7 out of 9 in terms of making the 1 in the side off the break.
Yeah, when you look at that stat, Michael, it's simple. It means you're going to get first shot of the table. Doesn't mean you're going to get a shot on the lowest ball, but it means you're the player who's got the decision, the push out, the safety shot. It means you're in control. What's the stat on Shaw? I'm sure you've got it wrote down.
He's made it once.
Yeah, we know he's broke less, obviously, but once is not good enough, is it?
Well, early on in the match, Chang Yu-long is just playing perfect pool. A few mistakes have crept in along the way since then, so there is still a little bit of hope for Shaw here. But it would be unexpected if this did not prove to be the end of the contest. Shaw will have a few things to think about. Big event coming up, a couple of weeks' time. Just like this. US Open, one of the historic standout titles in the game. It's a tournament he's won before. And he's not played well here. Yeah, he had that recovery from 8-3 down earlier on in the tournament, but obviously he'd struggled to get into that position in the first place and really struggled even in a comfortable win against his fellow British player Darren Appleton yesterday. Didn't expect he'd come out a different animal today, but he simply hasn't. And that's for Jayson Shaw to think about. What Chang Yulong will be reflecting on is how well really he's played overall. And if he can keep going like this, he will do some very serious damage and maybe even be a contender to become the first non-European winner of the European Open. Chang Yulong raced away into a 4-0 lead, and he always looked by far the more likely winner after that. And in the end, he is the winner by 10 racks to 5. Chang Yulong then goes through to the last 32 to play either Sam Henderson or Mickey Kraus. And the action will continue shortly on the main table. We've got Francisco Sanchez-Ruiz against Max Lechner coming up. Phil Yates and Jeremy Jones will be along to talk you through the action very shortly.